Hi, I've been reading, and maybe you can read it. It's Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking. And what I'm going to do is include a link so that you can get a free PDF of the book. I happen to get this one out of the local library. I'm going to just read you a few things so that you'll kind of get a feel for what it has in it. I haven't gotten all that far in it myself, but I'm liking what I'm reading, and you may too. So, the very first chapter, the very first words are, believe in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you could not be successful or happy. But with sound self-confidence, you can succeed. So, keep that in mind. Sometimes we get bogged down in believing what somebody else may have told us about ourselves, or what we may think is the case, and it may not be that big of a deal. For instance, right now I've got my glasses on, and there are times that I just wear my contacts. It just sort of depends. And some time ago I might have thought, well, I hate wearing glasses, and now it doesn't bother me so much. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know. But anyway, don't let things, especially perceived things that other people may think about you, don't be consumed by them. Okay, here's something else that I thought was kind of interesting. It talks about, it says, the blows of life, the accumulation of difficulties, the multiplication of problems tend to sap energy and leave you spent and discouraged. In such a condition, the true status of your power is often obscured, and a person will yield to discouragement that is not justified by the facts. It is vitally essential to reappraise your personality assets. If you do that in a sense of reasonableness, you will soon be convinced that you are less defeated than what you think you are. Now I'm just going to give you really briefly the top, I think it's 10 things. Yes, it's 10 things that he's talking about this program and how it will help you. So it says, formulate and stamp indelibly on your mind a mental picture of yourself as succeeding. That's number 1. Number 2, whenever a negative thought concerning your personal powers comes to mind, deliberately voice a positive thought to cancel it out. And I've gotten in the habit of, when you think something negative, it takes habits, but just get in the habit of making yourself think of something positive for yourself. So you're a klutz. That may be true. But there may be something else that you do wonderfully well. So dwell on the things you do well rather than the things that either you can't control or you don't do well. Okay, so number 3 is, don't build up obstacles in your imagination. Number 4, do not be awestruck by other people and try to copy them. Nobody can be as efficiently you as you are. And this is number 5. It says, 10 times a day, repeat the dynamic words, if God be for us, who can be against us? By Romans 8:31. And even if you don't believe in any particular religion, I think if you take just the idea that, you were put here for a purpose, and until you've realized that purpose, don't let other things, other people affect your own way you view life and the way you go through life. So, Number 6 is get a competent counselor to help you understand why you do what you do. So this book is old. I have, let's see, it's like before I was ever born, way back in the 50s. So even back then, he's saying you may need a counselor. So, some folks are always afraid of going to a counselor. This is just kind of saying, hey, it's cool. If you need to, go. Then it says, number 7 says 10 times a day, repeat the following affirmation or Bible verse, which says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me, out of Philippians 4:13. And again, if you don't believe, if you just get the gist of it, which says you're more powerful than you believe. And if you get to the place where you can believe in your own power, you're in a much stronger position than you would be if you're focusing on your insecurities and what you cannot do well. So, the next thing, number 8, says, make a true estimate of your ability, then raise it 10%. The next is put yourself, excuse me, in God's hands. And the last one says, remind yourself that God is with you and nothing can defeat you. Got a couple of other things I just want to pass along, and as I say, I'll have down below here, I'll have the link so that you can get a free PDF. How we think, we feel, has a definite effect on how we actually feel physically. If your excuse me, if your mind tells you that you're tired, the body mechanism, the nerves, and your muscles will accept that. If you focus on something and you're intensely interested in that, you can get your mental state into, I call it the zone, which just means you're focusing on that thing rather than your own ailments. This is, I think, the last thing I kind of wanted to just bring about to you. It says, this is something that I know to be true. When my father retired from working down at the base, that's for the U.S. government, federal government, in supply, he was the head of various warehouses. Some friends of his also retired at the same time. Now, there was a friend of his, and let me backtrack. You don't know my dad, so let me just give you a sense of who my dad was. He was the kind of person that loved to build things. He loved to create things. If you found a picture there used to be a catalog from a company called Yield House. If you found a picture in Yield House and you wanted that piece of furniture made for you, he could do it. He'd work out the plans out of his head. If it had been at a different time, instead of him having to go away to World War II and all that, he would have been a marvelous architect or engineer, because that's the way his mind worked. I didn't really get that too much, but luckily I did get the doing and the creative side, so I'm thankful for that. But anyhow, he loved to build things. And so while he was working, he has a workshop, and he would build furniture. Also, on the weekends, if you, for instance, had an attached garage and you wanted it closed in so it could be made into a bedroom, an extra room, a den, a man cave, whatever, he could do that for you. If you wanted a little building out and back, he could do that for you as well. He did basically everything from bottom to top except the electrical work. That is not because he couldn't do electrical work, but he wasn't licensed, and he didn't want to have any repercussions. So here's this friend of Daddy's that retires at the same time. Now, this gentleman had been in the military, and then he worked for the government, and that was his 2 jobs. He had no outside interest at all. He didn't play golf, tennis, didn't do any kind of creative things as Daddy did. So when they retired, there were times when Daddy was helping somebody out by maybe building a room or redoing a room or whatever. This friend would go with Daddy, and he would say, hey, I'll carry your toolbox and help you out there. That's kind of what we're talking about here. Is it's good to work hard, nothing wrong with that, but it's also good to develop your mind, your sense of self. So here is what they're talking about, what Norman Vincent Peale is talking about. He says, of course, many people are tired simply because they are not interested in anything. Nothing ever moves them deeply. To some people, it makes no difference what's going on or how things go. And he goes further to essentially say that if we get in that mindset, what we're going to do is dwell on little things that are bothering us, when there's bigger things that are outside of us that maybe we could be doing. In our area, we have at times had natural disasters such as hurricanes, such as flooding, even just a lot of heavy rain sometimes can do damage in the form of one thing or another. It might mess up a roof. It might cause some flooding just for an individual house. And those are things that you might know of someone that needs your assistance. Instead of just focusing on yourself, if you can get outside of yourself and help that person, it's going to do a couple of different things. And both of them, I think, are good. Number one, you are focusing your mind on something other than yourself. Number two, you are then focused on helping someone else. And third, you may develop an interest in doing something. For instance, if you go to work at Habitat, you may not know how to do a daggone thing, and they may give you a hammer and a nail and show you where you're supposed to be nailing. But after a period of time, you grow accustomed to doing that, and you can develop other skills. Before you know it, you may find that you kind of like that. Now, granted, you're retired, so you don't want to do it full time, but as long as you can kind of do it when you want, it's great, because you have this good feeling. You're helping somebody out. You're helping yourself out. It's a win-win situation. The last thing I want to share with you is just, I'm getting a lot from this book. And this is probably the original guy that came up with positive thinking. A lot of other people have gotten on the bandwagon over the past, 60 years? But he was probably the original guy, or at least he was doing it a long time before everybody else. So I would suggest to you, download the book, apply it to your life, and you may find that instead of negative things happening, you may soon find positive things happening. And with that, I'm going to wish you a wonderful day. Bye.